Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's your boy Smokestay here, back at you with another video. And today we are going to be ranking my top motocross games of all time, right? Now we got some games on this list some of you may have never heard of, and we have some games on this list that a lot of you have heard of. And we're going to rank them from S tier down to D tier, from GOAT to garbage. You know what I'm saying? So the first game we're going to start off with ranking is going to be Championship Motocross featuring Ricky Carmichael. Now, this game was released in 1999 on the PlayStation, and it was one of 4 games by THQ featuring Ricky Carmichael that was released. And at the time when this game came out, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I thoroughly, really enjoyed it. Now, it was supposed to go to Nintendo 64 later. It got canceled, but the time that I spent with this game, it was just awesome, you know. And at that time, when you're seeing the gameplay, you're going to think like, man, these graphics are terrible. And they were. But at the time, you got to remember, they were just amazing. You know what I'm saying? So in this category, so how I'm going to rank these is not how they stand today, but how they stand throughout the test of time and the experience I had with them at the time. So as far as this one goes, and as fun as it was and everything like that, I think I'm going to have to put this in B tier because it was a very solid game. It was a very solid game, and I had tons of fun with it. And it was one of the very first motocross games that I actually got to play that was like more of the 3D model type game. You know what I'm saying? So now that's going to lead us into the next game we're going to rank, which is going to be Excite Bike for the Nintendo. Now, Excite Bike for the original Nintendo, the NES, right, was released in 1984. Now, this was the very first motocross game I ever played. And it was more of the 2D scale side-scrolling game. You know what I'm saying? And it was extremely fun. When I was a kid, I remember playing this game so much. But I would get so irritated. You know, I was young and couldn't really... it just had weird physics and stuff like that. But it was a very fun dirt bike game to play. It also had a track creation function and a 2-player mode. And the game was just phenomenal for the time. It was super fun to play. It was super frustrating, but it was just, you know, the nostalgia when I think about that game is just awesome. And I absolutely love that game. And I think it innovated a lot. Even though it was a side-scrolling game, you know, it really brought dirt biking to the video game forefront. So for that reason, and because of the nostalgia that I had playing it, I'm going to stick it in the same tier as the Ricky Carmichael game. I'm going to put that as solid because it was a very solid game. Wasn't the best. Graphics weren't the greatest. You know, it was very pixelated, but every game at that point in time was as well. Now, this game, MTX Moto Tracks, originally was going under the name Travis Pastrana's Pro Moto X, right? It ended up being released as MTX Moto Tracks, and it was released by Activision for the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox in 2004, and it was made by Left Field Productions. Now, this game, from what I remember, was super fun. It was difficult at the time, but the free ride, it wasn't a free ride area. It was like you were at Travis Pastrana's compound, and you could ride around, talk to people, and like they'd have you do challenges. And just the graphics for the time and the gameplay for the time in which it came out was amazing. And I spent hours and hours and hours playing this game. So it's like in my memory for what the game was, I definitely have to rank that at an A tier, just for the simple fact that I played this game so much and I absolutely loved it. So now the next game that we're going to rank here is going to be Jeremy McGrath Supercross 1998. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys remember this game, but this game was very it was very different. You know what I'm saying? You had an announcer that would say funny things in the background, and it was like you could wheelie everywhere, and it was a very fun game, very different for a motocross game, but it was also, you know, a lot of those early motocross games were just super fun to play, you know, and I feel like each one of them at that time period were different. They weren't all trying to be simulators, but they were just focused on the gameplay, and they had different things to offer. And now it wasn't like the greatest dirt bike game or anything like that, but it was very fun, very interesting, especially, you know, at the age I was. For Jeremy McGrath Supercross 98, I am going to have to stick that in the C tier. And I'm only putting it in the C tier because, you know, I like the more realistic side of things as far as dirt bikes. And the only reason Excite Bike's above it is because of the nostalgia that it gets from the era that it came out. You know, it was one of the original dirt bike games. The next game that we are going to rank was created by EA Sports Big, and at the time they had just created the SSX games. I think it was SSX Tricky or something like that, but they had just released those. So coming off of that, you know, they went with more of the other kind of games, and this game was called Freakstyle, and it presented Mike Metzger. Not only that, but it also had Brian Deegan, Mike Jones, and just, you know, a bunch of characters that you could play as. It was released on PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Game Boy Advanced. Now, it only had 4 levels of gameplay. It had a circuit, you know, quick race, freestyle, and free run, and it was more of like the over-the-top fun dirt bike game. You know what I mean? It was nothing close to being a simulator. It was just, you know, throw big tricks and just very over the top, like the SSX Tricky and SSX snowboarding games were at that time. And I had a lot of fun with this game, and it was a blast to play. I think a lot of these games that I have here on here for ranking were very fun to play, and they were, you know, they're all kind of different. You know what I'm saying? So as far as Freakstyle goes, I'm going to have to put that in the A tier. And that's just simply for the fun factor of the time when the game came out. So we're going to go ahead and throw that up in A tier. So now the next game that we are going to throw on our list is Motocross Madness. Now, in 1998, Microsoft published this game, and it shipped with like a lot of different computers, and it was a very popular game. Now, at the time, I was not able to play this game, and my friend's dad had it on his computer, and I would watch him play it, and it looked awesome. And one of the cool parts about it is actually it was by the creators of the same people that created MX vs. ATV. So if you drove to the edge of the map and you hit that edge of the map, you got launched off, and it had like sound effects like, and then, you know, like an explosion when you hit the ground and stuff. Now it also had a track creator in it, and it just overall the nostalgia I have from the remembering of watching my friend's dad play this game, it was just an awesome game, especially at that time. It was probably the best dirt bike game that had came out, and it was just phenomenal. It was super fun to watch him play it. I wish I would have played it. I would download it and play it now, but I don't think I would have any fun. I think it would just ruin it for me. So, but because of that, I am definitely going to put this game in S tier. And the reason why I'm going to put this game in S tier is because I feel like it was very innovative. It's paved the way for all of the MX vs. ATV games to come. The way the free ride was, the way that you would have just all this massive area open world to explore. I think that it very well deserves to be in S tier. All right, so the next game that we're going to rank on our list is EA Sports Supercross. It was developed by 44 Studios and published by EA for the PlayStation 1 in 2000. Now, this game is one of my, like, based on just how I used to play it, it was when the game started to try to get more realistic as far as like how you would handle, and you'd have to go into corners slow. And I'm not saying it was the best game as far as trying to capture the realism of dirt bikes or anything, but I definitely think it did an amazing job for the time, for the hardware it was given. I just really enjoyed this game. So you gotta let me know down below if you guys played this game. Also, let me know which one of these games have you not played, have you never heard of, you know, things like that. But as far as this game goes, the gameplay was solid, and it was just super fun. And like I said, it actually tried to capture some of the realism, and I really wish EA Sports would have continued with these Supercross games. I know it's a very niche category, but I really think they could have done big things with this. So because of the fun I had with this game and how good it did at that time, this game for me is definitely gonna have to go into the A tier. I absolutely loved this game, and especially for the time, man, it was just phenomenal. Had a blast, and I will always remember this game for sure. All right, so for the next game on this list that we are going to rank, it's going to be MX 2002 featuring Ricky Carmichael. Now, this was a video game that was developed by Pacific Coast, and it was released and published by THQ for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Game Boy Advance in 2001. It was the third motocross game published by THQ to be endorsed by Ricky Carmichael. And in my opinion, this video game was when Supercross games and motocross games really started making that next step into, you know, fun. I don't want to say realism, but just fun factor, graphics, just all around more capturing the essence of what a dirt bike game was, and just doing a great job at it. And I had plenty of fun on this game, man. I loved this game a lot, and it's got to go up there on the higher side of the list, man. I'm not going to say it's the greatest of all time, but I'm definitely, just based on the fun I had and, you know, the steps it made forward, I'm definitely going to put this into the A category. So this is definitely going to go up there with those. And so far, I think we got a pretty good looking list here, man, if you look at these. So, but that game was super amazing. And at the time, Ricky Carmichael, so Jeremy McGrath was my favorite dirt bike rider. Ricky Carmichael comes in. He's just doing amazing. I absolutely loved both of them. So that is going to go into the A tier list. All right, so the next game that we are going to rank here is going to be MX vs. ATV Legends. And in my opinion, this game sucks. This game is terrible in every way. The only good thing about this game is the graphics. The gameplay is terrible. You feel like you're constantly you're on a rock, like trying to get above whoops, trying to do anything. Cannot stand this game. So mad I bought this game. Waited a year for them to update it. Still haven't made it good. You power slide through corners. They tried to go realism, arcade. It's just not a good look. One of the worst dirt bike games to ever come out, in my opinion. And it looks good. The game looks good. And there are people like Wyndham that can make it look good when you're playing it. But as far as fun factor, zero. As far as how good the game actually is, I can't stand the game. It was released June 28th and of 2023 or 22. I'm not sure. But one of the worst dirt bike games of all time. It was coming off the heels of MX vs. ATV All Out, which was actually a pretty decent game. But this is one of the worst games of all time as far as dirt bikes go, from a gameplay standpoint. And I absolutely cannot stand this game. I don't know how people play this game. And I am not going to spend any more time on this topic. So this is going to go straight into the D tier. And you're going to hate me for that. A lot of people probably will, but I cannot stand this game. The next game that we're going to go in and rank is going to be MX vs. ATV Reflex. Now, this game is one of the best dirt bike games of all time. From E-Road, the way the track E-Roaded, the mod support, and the mods that are still coming out today on PC, the gameplay. It was the first to introduce the two joysticks for the rider lean and the rider movement and everything. And it was just all around an amazing game. And the sad part about it is they actually lost the files for the game. So that's why they could never fully replicate the engine and the physics in other MX vs. ATV games. I feel like had they kept those and not lost them, I forget why they lost them, but had they not lost them, I feel like every MX vs. ATV game that come out after that would have been improved and possibly be, you know, better than most of the games that are out today. So because of where this game it stood and the relevance it had and the amount of time I spent on it, the E-road it had, the graphics it had, you know, I have to put that in S tier. MX vs. ATV Reflex is definitely goated as far as dirt bike games go. And I absolutely love that game. I have a blast with that game. Now, the next game that we're going to go ahead and talk about is Monster Energy Supercross 1. I chose 1 because, in my opinion, it is the best one of all 6 that have released so far. Now, there are people that talk crap about all of the Monster Energy Supercross games. You know, what's up, my dudes? Yeah, I'm talking to you, Spencer. You're always hating on this game, and there's no reason for it, man. Yeah, the Monster Energy Supercross games got worse as they progressed, but every single video you made, you talked mad crap about this game, man. About all of the games. And Monster Energy Supercross was an amazing game. It still is. The very first one, amazing game. I had a blast with it. It just, the way it rode, the way it played, the graphics. I don't know how they did it, but I feel like the graphics kind of took a step back as they released. But as far as these games go, this was the best one of the 6, and it was an amazing game. So this game right here is definitely going to go into A tier. Now, the next game that we're going to talk about on this list is MX vs. ATV Alive. Now, this was the game coming off of the heels of MX vs. ATV Reflex. It is a good game. It still had great track deformation. It still had great, you know, the way you played it. It came with a lot of great tracks, a lot of great compounds. And one of the best things about the MX vs. ATV games is how much freedom you had in the free-to-play areas. You know what I'm saying? So MX vs. ATV Alive is definitely a better dirt bike game, but it's not quite to the standard of which Reflex set. You know what I mean? Reflex set a bar, and Alive just didn't come close to that bar. So as far as how this game goes, it's fun to play. I had a blast with it during the time in which I had it. I didn't put nearly as many hours into it as I did Reflex, but still a good game nonetheless. So for MX vs. ATV Alive, I'm going to have to put this into B tier. Next game on the list, we're going to talk about this. This is going to be MX vs. ATV Supercross. This game sucked. MX vs. ATV Supercross. Now, when they came out with the Encore Edition, it got better, but I did not like this game one bit. I liked the Encore version of it, but I did not like this version of it. And I just, man, it's just some of the MX vs. ATV games, if you take it for just what it is, an arcade game, they are fun to play. But this game, however, was not that fun to play for me. I did not enjoy it. It didn't hold the standard of the previous MX vs. ATV games before it. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this game just because I wasn't that big of a fan. And so for that reason, we are going to stick MX vs. ATV Supercross in garbage. Now, MXGP 3 is going to be the one that I go with next. Now, I had never played an MXGP game, and actually at the time that this game came out, I had not touched a dirt bike game or video games in about 4 years. This game came out, and I played it, and I was blown away. Now, I had not played an actual dirt bike game prior to this, probably in like I don't even remember how long. It was like 2008, and then whenever this came out, it was a while, man. But when this game came out and I played it, I was absolutely blown away. The graphics, the gameplay, it's created by the same people that made Monster Energy Supercross games. And personally, in my opinion, I loved all the games that they have made. They make good games. Milestone makes good games, and a lot of people hate on all of that, but there's no need to, because their games are actually quite fun. Don't go into them expecting them to be 100% realistic, but in my opinion, the graphics are better, the movements are better than most of the MX vs ATV games to come out. So as far as this game goes, is gonna have to go. And ooh, where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Wasn't the best, but it wasn't Legends, that's for sure. I think, you know, this is a good place for it. We're going to put it with solid, because it was a solid game looking back at it. Next is going to be MX Unleashed. And MX Unleashed was one of the funnest dirt bike games when it came out. The soundtrack was great. The free ride areas were great. Just all around one of the most fun times I've ever had playing a dirt bike game. And this game was just phenomenal. I spent so many hours. I can't even tell you how many hours I actually spent on this game, because this game was just amazing. This game right here is absolutely phenomenal for the time in which it was, for how, you know, the system hardware it had. Definitely one of my favorite games. So we're gonna put that at solid. Right now, 2 games left, baby. Now we're gonna go with my favorite game of all time as far as dirt bike games. The best dirt bike game of all time. Regardless of what you want to say about some of the physics that it has, regardless of what you want to say about anything, this game, MX Bikes, is the best dirt bike game of all time. Best first-person camera view ever. And I don't care how many times you try to recreate it in another game, there won't be another first-person camera like it. The erode system, best ever. Love it. The mod support on it is amazing. The way the game plays is amazing. You do get wonky physics every now and then when you get paboboed. But other than that, best dirt bike game of all time, hands down. It should go in God tier. You know what I'm saying? It should go in God tier. But we only have 1 spot left. So MX Bikes. Can I move it over here? MX Bikes, number 1, GOAT. Greatest of all time. Plain and simple. Now we're on to MX Simulator, man. When the game came out, it was probably the best dirt bike game. Where it's at now, and the fact that people still play it, blows my mind. The sounds are terrible. The handling on the game and just how it plays is terrible, especially when you look at other games like MX Bikes. The mod support is there. It still has a community somehow. Do not know how. Maybe they'll come out with an MX Simulator 2 and it'll be better. Now, I'm not saying it's not a fun game. It can be fun, but the sounds are just annoying. That you do have a very good modding community. You do have a very toxic community, but so does MX Bikes. But also, I don't know. It's just based on my experience with this game, when I watch somebody play it that knows what they're doing and everything, it looks okay. It's just not that. It's not that great of a game, and I wish it was better. But for when it came out, it was great. Now, I'd much rather play MX Bike. So where we're at with this game, we're going to take MX Simulator, and we're going to put it in D, because it's absolutely garbage. No, I'm just playing. I'm messing with you. I just had to get under your skin. Oh, you was bad for a second, wasn't you? Oh, no, I'm putting it in A tier. I'm putting it in A tier because it has a community that has held it together and kept it alive for quite a while. The sounds are annoying, like I said, but overall, it's a solid dirt bike game. So this is my list of my top 17 dirt bike games of all time. And let me know where you think you would put these other games. Let me know what games you haven't heard of. Let me know what games you like more than what I liked. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the list. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. See y'all next time, man. Peace.